This is LXBN TV, and I'm Colin O'Keefe. As another wave of bad weather is about to hit the eastern United States, employers are faced with the difficulty of managing their workforces. Joining me now to share some quick guidance is attorney Tiffani McDonough. She's based in Philadelphia with Obermeyer, and she is author on the firm's blog, HR Legalist. Tiffani, first, what advice do you have for employers when it comes to dealing with inclement weather? What broad pointers would you offer on that front?
Well, Colin, inclement weather can certainly create a lot of stress and uncertainty for both employers and employees. One of the biggest concerns with employers and business closures is employee safety, because severe weather can cause anything from road closures, hazardous conditions, public transportation can close. So really, employers, when they're thinking about closing their business, their main consideration should be employee safety. One of the biggest things, too, to kind of alleviate some of that uncertainty is for employers to have an inclement weather policy and procedure in place. And that policy should include things like, how is the employee going to be notified of a business closure? When would the employee be notified? And the policy should also deal with things such as employee pay. So whether an employee is going to be paid for a day that the business is closed, whether the employer is going to dock the employee from their PTO bank from a vacation day, and whether the employee can actually work from home during a snow day to avoid not getting paid for the day. So if employers take a little bit of advance notice and have a proper procedure in place, they can certainly alleviate some of the stress and uncertainty that comes with that inclement weather.
I see. So speaking specifically to that second issue, compensation, what issues do employers need to be aware of when it comes to wages and snow days?
Well, whether an employee is actually or has to be paid on a snow day really depends on the pay classification that the employee falls into. So whether that employee is a non-exempt employee or an exempt employee. So we'll start with non-exempt employees. Non-exempt employees are only paid for days that they actually work, hours that they actually work. So if your business is closed and your non-exempt employee can't come in, the employee doesn't need to be paid for that day. If your business is open and your non-exempt employee can't make it in, the employee does not need to be paid for that day. However, there's one caveat to that. If your non-exempt employee works and is paid on a fixed salary on a fluctuating work week, the employee, if they work just even as few as 3 hours in that week, needs to be paid. So if you close for one day during that week, you're still going to need to pay the employee for that time. Additionally, if you have an employee that comes in and you send them home early because of inclement weather, as an employer, you should be aware of your state call-in laws, because states such as New York and New Jersey have laws that state that you have to pay the employee a minimum amount of pay for any time that they report in and you send them home early. So you should be aware of that as an employer. For exempt employees, it's different. So if your exempt employee works even one day, if your business is closed one day through the week and your exempt employee works during the rest of that week, you have to pay the exempt employee for the entire week. And if your business is open and your exempt employee doesn't come in for that one day and doesn't perform any work at all, you don't have to pay the exempt employee for that day. However, you can actually, instead of not paying them, if you want to dock them a vacation day or deduct something from their PTO account, you can do that. Now, if your business is closed for more than a week and your exempt employee does not work at all during that week, you do not have to pay the exempt employee at that point. If your exempt employee, though, works from home, you do need to pay the employee for the time that they spend working at home. And actually, a note for non-exempt employees. If your non-exempt employee works from home, if it's anything more than approximately 10 minutes, you're going to need to pay the non-exempt employee for that time actually worked.
I see. Very interesting. There's a lot of variables that employers need to be aware of when it comes to handling their workforces and inclement weather. Once again, that was attorney Tiffani McDonough. For more of her insight on this particular issue and others in the employment law space, be sure to visit hrlegalist.com. And of course, if you're not watching us here on our site on LXBN, be sure to visit LXBN.com for hundreds more of these LXBN TV video interviews and curated commentary from the Lex Blog Network. It is the world's largest legal blog network. Thank you for joining me today, Tiffani.
Oh, thank you, Paul.